everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and I have just put a plastic bear on a base. That's just baking soda and super glue. You've seen me do it before if you've watched. And I've clear coated this fella. And let's see what I have an idea. I've made something like this, just similar to this before. So I have an animal plastic from an animal pack here. I'm going to get some scissors. I'm sure you guys have all seen these animal packs before. These are just, you go to Michael's or Joann, not so much Joann anymore, they don't really carry them. Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and you can get these tubes of animals, and they're longer than this. I just cut this one and shoved it back together, but they're about that much longer. And they come full of animals. And oftentimes, if you look at them, many of them are scaled to use in your 28 millimeter heroic, or 28 millimeter in general, depending on what you're swagging at. TTRPGs, if you play the Dungeons and Dragons or the Pathfinder. Alright, so I have, what I really need here is I need to cut these in some panels. So, a long time ago, magic had so corrupted the world, the entire world was at war. Things were getting bad. But the most negative effect it had was on the bees. And if you know anything about bees, I'm not a bee expert, but I know some about bees. If you know anything about bees, you know that bees are a big part of our ecosystem. They are an enormous part of our ecosystem. Basically, that's way too big. They pollinate everything. So they're super important. They take the pollen from male plants to female plants, vice versa, and pretty much cause all the plant sexing on the world. I need sharper scissors, because those ain't cutting shit. Alright, there's two. You're probably thinking, what is he doing? Well, I'm making a Bearblebee. The magical response by the wisest people of the land when they found out the bees were going extinct. Well, these geniuses decided to create a species to save all the plants and to save the world. And these geniuses came from something called the Bearblebee. Okay, so now you want to get, and you want to score, not cut all the way through. You want to score these down the middle, like that. And then just do some little pattern on there, just so it looks okay. Now we want these wings to stay pretty clear. We're going to put a little bit of a wash on them later. So for now, we're just going to make the wings. We're going to set it off to the side. Set them off to the side. Now, this is going to do two things. One, it's going to make them take paint a little easier. Two, it's going to make them easier for me to see so I don't lose them. Now I'm going to flip them all over and do the same thing. And all I'm doing is roughing that up so they're not smooth. Notice I have 4 wings here. I'm going to set these wings off to the side. I'm going to put them back face up how I had them, so I don't lose them. And so I don't lose these, I'm just going to take this little clip and clip them on that paper. All right, let's look at our bear. So we don't want to paint our bear black. We want to use a light color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this King's Gold and a fairly decent sized brush. And I'm going to paint him yeller. Now that's a little brighter than I wanted, and I can live with that though. And you'll see why in a moment or two. So let's get him all yellowed up. Our Bearblebee. So they created these creatures to be like the keepers of the bees, right? But they wanted to make sure they were smart enough not to destroy the bees' hives, because they would want the honey. And they wanted to be able to protect them from honey badgers and other creatures that might invade their hives, their nests. So they made them a little bit intelligent. Unfortunately, when they came to deal with the bees, the apiarists came to deal with the bees. The Bearblebees wouldn't let them. And then one day, all the bees in the kingdom disappeared. They were just gone. Gone, gone, gone. And the Bearblebees with them. Now, over time, bees came back. And even when the bees were gone and they couldn't find bees anymore, the plants were still getting pollinated and stuff, and they'd see an occasional bee here and there. But the Bearblebees fled deep into the old forests of the world where people didn't live, where no one had settled, and they took the bees with them. Now, Bearblebee pelts are very valuable. Their furs are very valuable. First of all, if you were to fashion one into a cloak, you would find that bees will not sting you, nor will any other stinging insect. Ants won't bite you. You essentially, even giant scorpions and stuff, just won't. They won't touch you. There's something in you, or something on you. There's a scent about that coat. That insects and some arachnids. Now, this does not apply to giant spiders, but normal spiders will generally avoid you. So, and it's rare. Not everybody has one. They're attractive, and they're valuable because of that. Because they're rare. So Bearblebee furs and Bearblebee fur clothing, coats, cloaks, stuff like that are very valuable. However, if a Bearblebee were to come near civilization and see somebody wearing one, they have limited flight. They become omega aggressive. They do not like to see the Bearblebees being killed. And they are intelligent. And they will track down and find out who is responsible for the crimes against them. Not so bright anymore. Now, if you were a ranger or a druid or some kind of shaman or nature-loving person, you could, in fact, befriend a Bearblebee. But befriending a Bearblebee is also making a pretty big commitment. Instead of black, I'm going to use dark brown. Just stick with me and see what we're going here. I've never really done it this way. I did it with regular paint when I did it before. I'm getting a very small brush. And I'm going to start up here on his back. I'm going to start working down his side. Kind of a jagged pattern that's going to disappear underneath of him. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. But on this side, see how his paw's back? I'm going to come around the front of his leg. Like that. And it's going to disappear underneath him. So yeah, you can befriend one, but it comes at a cost. I'm going to come here behind that leg. Do the same thing. I'm going to come up a little bit forward with it. And it's going to disappear underneath. I do want to widen these up some. I just wanted to kind of get where they were going to be. There's going to be 3 of these total. I just want to talk about bees. Now, I am an environmental chemist, and I don't do that for a job anymore. But I'm still in the field, environmental field. Now I'm a supervisor now. I do like I want to come right here somewhere. I run the sites, like instead of just being in the lab or double checking other people's work or going out and fixing like immediate treatment problems and stuff in plants. Or runoff from like ditches from mines and stuff. I don't do that anymore. Now I do like I actually run the sites. Like I'm the dude who kind of, well, you all have a boss. Most of you have a boss. I'm the boss now, and I never set out to be the boss, but I wanted more responsibility and I wanted more money, and that's the trade-off was that you had to, you had to move up to do that. And I maintain a good relationship with all the people I worked with previously. And I don't forget where I came from. So anyways, recycling and a lot of the things that we talk about, and I'm not going to give like a big lecture on this, but a lot of things we talk about in this world are horseshit. For example, most places do not even recycle. And I'll tell you why. Some towns will even charge you a recycling fee with nowhere to take the stuff to recycle. You'll separate it, you'll put it in a special colored bin, they'll haul it off, and it'll go to the dump. At one point in time, they tried to recycle, but then they found out it wasn't economic and they stopped. The reason for this is there's something called the International Millivolt Standard. It essentially uses an electric charge to measure the impact that something would have on the environment. Generally a carbon impact. That's what it started from, but now it's starting to branch out and be used in other stuff. I'm a Bearblebee. So anyways, you recycle a bottle, all right, a plastic soda bottle, for example. And they have their own shape, their own size, their own specific color of plastic they're using, their own labels that are glued on with different glues and stuff. And there's no standardization or laws that dictate what these, within reason, what these can be. So every time you have a little bit of variation in product and you want to streamline the process for recycling, the machines have to be more elaborate, more difficult, more moving parts. And they break down more frequently because you've added more to the machines, because the simpler a machine is, the more predominantly well-behaved it will be. So since there's no standardization in these industries and the plastics have to be separated and the colors can't be all just mixed in, or you'll get like gray non-clear plastics and stuff like that, a lot of that has stopped. Glass. Recycling glass is not very profitable. They've almost completely stopped doing that. And again, the key word here is often profit. Metal. There is a lot of metal recycling going on, mostly because metal is not as renewable. It takes a lot of mining and it takes access to the resources. So recycling metal will always be somewhat profitable, depending on what the metal is. Big metal products. Cans, however, usually make it to the landfill, like soda cans and stuff. Bottled water is the best and closest thing we have right now to creating sustainable recycling. But there would have to be an international standard developed that all bottles would be made out of the same plastic, the exact same mold or size so the machines can handle them the same and with the same density of plastic in the build. And they basically would have to have a certain type of glue that's biodegradable or that could be easily heated away that holds the labels on, or just have a spray painted label on it with a certain types of paint. There is a way to make recycling work, but we're just not doing that, unfortunately. So, and it's not an easy path, and I'm not claiming that this is a simple solution. All the things I'm talking about doing sound easy, but in reality, here's what happens when you start dictating and mandating stuff to businesses. If the expenses start becoming a nuisance, they're willing to play your game so far. Then, if you try to force them, you know who suffers? The consumers and the employees. The business itself will not suffer. So it sounds easy enough, but there's a long path. Also, governments don't want to play these games. Be specific. Our government, neither side wants to play these games because the regulation that I'm suggesting, both sides are taking money from people that would be affected by this, like Kellogg's and Johnson and Johnson and these big companies. They don't want this. They don't want to be told how they have to do it. They don't want to pay a couple extra cents per run of their line. They don't want to have to be responsible for the world. They'd rather pay a fine than actually fix it. Often. That's a sad truth. So I will say, I don't have all the answers either. I'm not an expert. I do know a little bit about it, though. So, yeah. There's things you can do. Don't buy so much prepackaged food. Try to prepare food at home using as much fresh ingredients as you can. If you get grocery bags, instead of throwing them away, try to reuse them as receptacle bags in your offices and bathrooms and places where you have smaller trash cans. If you can use those as receptacle liners and give them a second life, take them back to the store with you. You can use canvas bags. I like to use canvas bags, but I understand it's a nuisance to carry bags everywhere. But you can reuse the Kroger bags or the grocery bags just by, when you're done, throw them all inside of one bag and toss them in your car and try to reuse them. Usually you can get 2 or 3 uses out of them and they're kind of cached. The best thing for me is the canvas because it does last for pretty much ever. And then I had a nice competition with the little boys. We had a family who could make the nicest canvas bags contest, and we made decorated bags and painted recycling symbols on them and trees and nature-themed stuff. And I'm not a super big hippie either, mind you. I'm just hip to what's going on. I understand. I hear the lies about climate change, and both sides lie. If we were talking about the United States, both sides don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand how climate change works or what the effects of climate change is or how long the things are going to take to do what they say they're going to do or how fast a difference you can or can't make. Both sides are just way off mark. And it's because they have people whispering in their ears telling them agenda-sized facts instead of explaining how it works. There was a weatherman named Joe DiNardo in the Pittsburgh area who actually really understood this stuff. He was a regular dude, but he was a weatherman. He was a meteorologist as well. Phenomenal dude, but he's since passed. He actually could predict the weather like you're supposed to be able to do as a weatherman. He was very accurate. But I even know a little song about the dude. It's DiNardo, oh, DiNardo, we love you so, rain or sunshine or snow, how cold will the winter wind blow, DiNardo. Oh, anyways, it goes on and on. I learned it when I was a little kid. But he was a pretty stand-up dude. And one of his things that, when he came and spoke to us, one of the things that he said was that politicians don't care about the environment no matter what they tell you. They care about how they can make money off of creating economic crisis or ecological crisis or ecological serendipity. Not that they actually care about the environment at all. And I think he was very, very right. But I don't know. I'm not a politician, so. Nor will I ever be, hopefully. Because as much as I feel like I should stand up and try to do something to make the world better, I also know that other people around you suffer when you try to do the right thing or when you try to be honest. And they didn't sign up for that. You did. before I put the wings on, I want to do his little eyes. And what I want to do for his little eyes is I want to make them an obnoxious blue color. So I'm going to get a piece of cut off game board piece I have sitting here that I don't know if I have it earmarked for anything. And a little bit of this Void Shield blue. And I'm going to go onto that black, and I'm just going to make a little blue dot. I need that one on the right. Well, it's his left eye, but on our right as we're looking. Be a little bit bigger. Now I made the left one a little bit bigger. Okay, something like that. Blue, beautiful. I'm eating the paint out of my brush. And let's figure out what we did with those wings. That's right. I made a good choice. So Bee's wings come in 2 layers. And we want ours to be that way as well. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the one that I cut fatter and the one that I cut thinner. And we want to lap those together like that. And that's going to be the wing on this side. But we got to make sure the little one is under the big one. Then you want that to overlap just like that. Okay? And to get that to mount, I'm just going to get the tiniest little bit of glue here. Just like that. Make sure they're lined up. Then I'm going to stick them where I want them. And I'm going to drag them around until I have good contact. Okay? Then let's do the other side the same way. The little one inside the big one. Line them up. Just like that. And we're going to get some glue. Just the tiniest bit. And drag those around until we have good contact. All right, now we don't want these to ever come off. And we've already done our painting. So we're going to do some super glue business, but we're going to do it careful. So what I have here is a super glue package. And I'm just going to put a drop of super glue in here, okay? Oh, that's a lot more than I wanted. Oh, well. And if you're willing to sacrifice a brush for this, awesome. If not, you can use a toothpick or something. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this little one-time use kind of garbage, I think it's a nail liner brush, and I'm going to paint around here on both wings. Get it up under there a little bit. And hope I didn't get it all over any of the rest of the wing parts, but I probably did because I'm sloppy. All right, then we're going to get our baking soda. And we're not going to use a spoon. We're going to lightly sprinkle down into the crack, down into the crack, around the outside there. Here we go. All right. Pretty sturdy. Oh, shit. All right, I'm going to have to do a little touch-up work inside there. No problem. We can do that. We know a guy. Okay. Okay. Where's that little thing at? We'll just get in there and strengthen that back up real quick. Okay. Pretty sturdy, not quite. A little more super glue in there. We'll be home for you. Okay. Now for these wings, we're going to let that dry for a minute. I'm going to hot air gun that so it doesn't stay wet. All right, cool. I'm going to get a little bit of this color is called Runic Gray. If you don't have this, you could just use a gray-blue wash. I'm going to get that drop of that. And I'm going to get some speed paint medium. 1, 2, 3 drops of that. I'm going to get my brush. I'm going to mix that up very good. So it's very, very even. And then I'm going to pull it onto my wings. I'm going to pull my wings apart, maybe. Get it underneath there a little bit. And cover my wings with that. Now, I did not want to make this wing all gross like I did. Unfortunately, that's just what happened, and I kind of ruined it. You could, if you do that and you want it to look okay, you could just lightly paint these with super glue and sprinkle them with baking soda and create some texture there if you wanted to. But that's up to you. I really just messed mine up the way I did it. But you don't have to mess yours up. You could be more careful than I was. So now I'm super unhappy with that. So I'm going to have to do something. So let's get this dark stone color here. And make a less translucent layer. See, it's still semi-translucent, but just a little bit less so. I'm starting thicker up there where I made a mistake and then dragging it out thin beyond that. Let's see if that covers it up a little bit. It might. Not nearly as noticeable as it was. There we go. Something like that. Now I'm going to dab off the edges of my wings. And when I'm talking about doing stuff you can do for the environment, I want you to be very clear on this. I am not perfect. I unthinkingly still grab paper towels when I could grab a rag. I make lots of mistakes. I am not perfect. I'm just making an effort, okay? And if I had started younger in life, making an effort, I would feel much better because it would become second nature. I am, in my 40s, mid-40s, trying to, as I learn more and understand more, trying to correct course. And that's difficult. And if you're interested in trying stuff like that, look it up. It's worth trying for sure. All right, so I'm pretty happy there. I'm going to let that dry naturally. And then we're going to clear coat this dude. And then we're going to take him up and get a shot of him on the table. But for now, let me take a photo of him here that we can use for the thumbnail. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, leave a comment, go to the website and buy a miniature. Not these miniatures, real Dungeon Swag miniatures. Come to our Discord, hang out with us, and see what we're up to there. And I'll see you next time.